Hey, y'all, welcome back to another episode of Who Knows Best. I'm your host, Cassie Bollinger, and tonight we have a special guest joining us, Michelle. Let's have all of y'all introduce yourselves and we'll go around the room.
I am Lisa WaxyCat.
I'm Michelle Secrist.
And Michelle, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself before we get started?
Yeah. So I joined Cincy in 2019. I was a stay-at-home mom at the time. I was pretty much with the team that wasn't really that helpful. So I started school. I started working out of school, and my son started school last fall. And I pretty much got burnt out, which is great for this topic tonight. And then I rejoined under Lisa in the spring of this year. So I've been doing this for 5 years now.
Awesome. All right. Well, tonight we're going to dive into a really important topic, and the topic is burnout. So Michelle's here to talk about how burnout affects us all, especially in a fast-paced world where it seems like everyone is constantly doing all the things. It can make us feel like we're less than, overwhelmed, and completely drained. But tonight, we're going to break it down and share how we've dealt with burnout and what we can do to avoid it. So let's just jump right in. Michelle, you want to kick us off and tell us a little bit about how this topic has impacted you?
Okay, so within my 5 years of doing Cincy, I feel burnout quite a lot. I'm someone that I get in my own head. Pretty much I overthink, overanalyze things. And I feel burnout where I feel like I have to do all the things. I watch a lot of training. So like a lot of top leaders will pretty much tell me, you have to pretty much do all the big fancy things or you won't be successful kind of thing. And that's really got me. I feel like I'm obligated to buy all the fancy mailers, do Happy Mail every single month, every single time I get an order, every single time I get referred. I have to just do all the things. And then I feel like overwhelmed where I just step back and I kind of leave my business for at least a month or a couple months. So that's something I've really struggled with. But I think I'm learning to pretty much keep it simple, go back to the basics. Yeah. I got a brain fart.
Really what matters.
It's all right. So like keeping it simple. So what are your suggestions for keeping it simple?
Well, I've talked to Lisa about this, and I think pretty much I don't have to do the big fancy things. I don't have to do the Happy Mail. I don't have to be consistent every single month with sending mail outs and everything. And I have great customers. They don't care if I don't send anything to them. They're like, you don't need to do that. So I have really good customers for that. I think maybe sending samples every once in a while, and keeping it where it's just envelope and stamps pretty much. So no big mailers it's like you know what I mean? Like when people show what they're mailing, it's like the big mailers and all the samples, and it's like it makes the price go up, like $5 or more mailing, and you have what, 50 or more to mail every month. That kind of, I don't know, it burns a hole in my wallet. So I'm not really in social economy right now.
Yeah.
What were you saying, Lisa?
That you're here to make money, not lose money. And
Right.
It's super easy to look at all the cool stuff that all these top leaders do, but you just have to keep in mind that when they were where you are, they didn't do that. They didn't do big mailers like that. They didn't do mail after every order. If they did, it was a postcard and a scratch and sniff sticker. It was not these big things with their face on it or all these all these things that go with their branding, which are super great and super awesome. And it's fantastic that they do that. But it's not realistic to think that you need to do that when you're just starting out or until you're an SSD. Honestly, I mean, that's you don't need to do. It's usually them that are sharing it, and that's fantastic, and that's a goal for everybody to get to. But your thank you card in your envelope goes a long way. Like you said, your customers are completely fine with not having all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So you don't have to do all the things. Like you really don't. I really don't. I do not do all the things.
Yeah. Well, and I think that so even when I have new teamies come in, I tell them the same thing of I put back 15% of my paycheck. So if I have a really good month, then I may send stuff out. If I don't, then I don't. I do, you know, with my follow-up, all I do is I send them a text afterwards because I use the Scentsy Connect. And then and after that, I follow up after it's been delivered because Scentsy Connect's been really great with that. I used to do all the things, and that's where I got burnt out. I was trying to keep up with the Joneses and, you know, or trying to, however you want to say it. I don't know. I don't think we really have a Scentsy safe for that. But it's one of those is that, you know, you got to put your blinders on. You can't, the comparison game will burn you out. And I can attest to that because I was trying to keep up with my own self from what I did during 2020. So Lisa and I both started in the same year, but our businesses are completely different. I'm not great on social media. I'm more great on the one-on-one and in person and with the people I knew. And so I couldn't keep up with social media. Like I was trying to figure out algorithms. I was trying, but it was easy during 2020. It was post and you'd get 5 orders. You'd post one picture and you'd have 5 or 6 people just being like, I need that. I need that. I need to order that. And you know, it was easy. Now it's, you know, you might have to post 15 different things on 5 different days. And at the time, maybe somebody orders, somebody doesn't, you know. But the
like if out, don't do it. If it burns you out or stresses you out, do not do it. Like that's always been my thing. And I'll always tell my team that don't do it if it doesn't make you happy. This should make you happy and make you money. If this is stressing you out, that's if this is stressing you out and this is costing you a ton of money and you're not making money, don't. Like just don't do those things.
Yeah. And I would feel like it's like I would, in my mindset, it's like I gotta think like a superstar director. I gotta work like a superstar director. So that's what would also pretty much cause me to get so overwhelmed where I burn out as well. Like spending $100 or more just on mailings. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no.
Well, and then you always want to find the simplest way. And it is, if you're wanting to send out samples and you aren't, like if your paychecks are only $100 to $200, that money needs to go for your home. Like that's the whole reason you're supposed to spend Scentsy money on home, not home money on Scentsy. And when you break it down, that's why I did a percentage. So there's a percentage that goes to my Scentsy card, and then there's a percentage that goes to my checking account. And that amount, like I don't spend more than that amount for the month. And that's, I don't even do team mail. Like I've told my team before, when we hit numbers and I actually get paid at title, then I do something. I do a drawing or I send out goodies. But I can't act like an SSD making big money when I'm not making big money, because that means, granted, I want to tell everybody how amazing they are, but I just tell them more on a day-to-day basis instead of mailing out stuff and being like, hey, I see you. But I also don't have 1,000 consultants underneath of me.
Right.
So it's a little bit different when it gets to be, you know, when I hit, you know, star director or SSD and I'm making a lot more money, that 15% is going to change. I mean, it's still going to be 15%, but the amount that's going back into my card will be different.
Okay.
Did you have anything else?
I'm looking at my notes right here. Okay. Yeah, I get in over my head a lot. So, cause I would feel like, oh, I have to do all the big things. I have to be fancy, you know, so I can get orders to come back or something like that. Like when you see the nice little Canva print thingies, it's like, you have to do that. But it's like, no, Michelle, you got to do what's simple. You got to do what really works for you. So, and for your family, really, you know, because it's family money as well that you're investing in, kind of. So, but yeah, really just work on keeping it simple.
That's one of our core values, simplicity.
Yes. Go back to that as well. I'm actually thinking for the November, I kind of want to do scent of the month. Like I may just do the brochures and the scent stickers and slap it in an envelope. It's really all I'm thinking. So
you can also do a poll before the 15th and be like, for your locals, does anybody want to buy a bar before it's released? Yeah. If you get 5 people to buy a bar, that just covered your kit. And then you're still going to have bars left and you're still going to have the flyers and the stickers. So there's so many ways that you can kind of do all the things without paying doing all the things.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, and there's a lot of things that you can kind of back off of. You know, I had this huge spreadsheet and I did this for 2 years. And when my burnout hit, I couldn't keep up with it. Like I was only doing, so I was mailing out every week. And because I never did it every day because I always had stuff going on. So I would mail out like every week. I would be like, okay, there's this many orders. This is how much I have to mail out. And I'd have stamps. And then during fall of, it was 2 years ago. So that'd be 22. There was just too many. It was like 30 of them a week because I had a really good month going through August, September, October, November. And I was like, I just can't keep up. So I went to once a month. And it was still overwhelming because I felt then it was like it was so much. But then I had a lot of people that were doing multiple times in 1 month. And I'm like, well, I'm sending this person 3 scent circles or like depending, I always had a gauge. Like they got this if they paid this much, and then they got this if they did this much, because I wanted to kind of give back what they did. And so now I mail them out every 3 months.
Yeah.
But then I've actually stopped that too, because my PRV and my team, it hasn't been great. So again, I back off, but I do more of the interaction, the text messages are free. I mean, I have unlimited, so I can send text messages and emails all day long.
Yeah.
Messages are free. Shout outs are free. A voice memo saying, hey, good job, or thank you for your order. All of that is free. And if it's something that you're worried is going to overwhelm you, I would say start with the bare minimum. Like you said, every 3 months. If you're worried that that's going to be something that's going to kind of get to you, tell yourself, all right, every 3 months, I'm going to send happy mail instead of every month or instead of weekly, like you were doing. Like just adjust it to where it's comfortable for you, and don't feel like you're failing anybody, including yourself, when you're not able to do what an SSD does, because most people
like a failure there. Like, well, I'm not doing what they're doing, so I guess I'm never going to be successful. I'm not going to hit director or whatever. And I know I'll get it whenever the time is right. I know I will.
I know.
Just think, if you were an SSD right now, that's the reason why you can't just jump up that fast. There are different levels, because you wouldn't know. I mean, if you had 1,000 consultants or 2,000 or 5,000 consultants underneath of you, I mean, you got to think about how would that look for you. I mean, it's different when it's different when it's gradual. Like I only have I have 25 or 24 in my team, counting me as 25.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine trying to send out individual shout outs to 1,000 of them.
No.
And I would probably change it then. You see what I'm saying? But I'm doing small stuff now. And and Lisa's talked about it before on our podcast, is what she does is that she will randomly pick someone who has spent a lot of money
on the last one.
Yeah. And then she'll send them something. And so I'm thinking more of implementing that, especially through the fall and winter, is be like, in the last 6 months, this person has spent X amount. So especially when the whiff box, like this month's whiff box is so cute, and it's a limited item. So it's not like they could buy it, and they could always give it as a gift. So this month I'm taking, after we get paid tomorrow, I'm going to take the money and I'm going to pick 1 or 2 people and send out a whiff box. Or I'm going to, send something, I know I really like the scent of the month. I may send them a bar and a scent circle, or something like the 3 scent circle. I can't remember. Can we do 3 scent circles in the scent of the month?
It's 3, but yes, it is 3, but they'll be packaged the same as always. So you can order them and then mail them to people individually, and nothing's like ripped.
Right.
Okay. You can do the 3.
So, but again, most of my customers I've asked, I'm like, did you get the happy mail? Did you like it? And they're all like, yeah, there is just a lot of stuff in there that, I'm going to give away to friends because I don't use it. So it is, I mean, honestly, it's up. I would just ask customers, like, what do you feel? Do you like getting goodies in the mail? Do you just want an envelope? Because I sent my stuff up. Everything that leaves my house is scented. So if it's in an envelope, that envelope is scented. The mail on the inside has rub and sniff stickers all over it. There is smell on it all the way around. So it's not just one of those. I mean, like if they smelt the envelope, they would be smelling some kind of Scentsy.
Yeah.
And most of the time, your customers don't care. They don't mind. My customers and my team have both said that they like to get one item or something like a full size product or whatever once in a while versus a postcard every month as a thank you or a you're number 2 in the team or whatever. Like they would rather have a chance at getting something bigger. And then that saves me money. Or if it doesn't save me money, it at least gives them something better for the money that I was going to spend anyway. And so I would rather them get something better if that's money I'm spending anyway.
Yeah.
So most don't mind not getting individual day or monthly mail. It doesn't bother them.
I don't think they really care. Like, I don't think they expect you to have to give them something.
I don't either.
Text them, you can call them, you can reach out to them, you could call them, sending a voice message. I feel like maybe every once in a while, I don't know, I'm still kind of going with it, but maybe like every 3 or 4 months, sending something so they know what the scent is, or just to keep them updated, you know.
And when I do personal shopping links for people, I don't know if I might have told you this, I'm not sure. When we were talking about your burnout with mail, when I do personal shopping links for people, I don't send those people happy mail because that is their happy mail. They're not having a party for me. So they're not using that link the way that it's meant to bring in people, right? They're using that link solely like a punch card. That is what I would have used. Those rewards are what I would have used to be able to send them happy mail. So instead of me using it and picking it myself, I'm giving it to them. So if you have a personal shopping link, they're not on my mail list because they're getting rewards. So that's another way to cut down who you send to. And you could even tell them when you're creating it for them, hey, you know, I send happy mail every once in a while, or instead of sending you happy mail, I can give you a personal shopping link and then all the rewards are yours for whatever you want.
Well, you also got to think about it. You can give them that extra perpetual reward as their, and they can basically, and now if you decide you want to pay for the half price so that way they get it, but it's included in theirs and they can get it, or they can just be like, I would love to gift you something. I'm going to give you a half price item. Then you're not out any money. Yep. They're already paying for shipping anyways. So it's not like it's an additional charge for you. And that'd be like, just for having this, here's an extra half price.
And if you want to pay for it for them, you could be like, hey, I'm going to throw in a bottle of counter clean because you're going to close their link for them, you know? Mm-hmm. So at that point, you're able to throw in the happy mail right there with that perpetual half off, or even in the retail column. Throw in a $10 thing.
Thought of it like that. Okay. Yeah.
So that saves you money. That saves you time on mailing. And it just takes somebody off of your list because you're not going to do anything with that person until they're ready to close their link.
Yeah.
So you don't even worry about that person and pampering or whatever you call it. Like you don't have to do anything like that.
Boom. It's done.
Yeah, it's done.
Well,
and they're getting for it. Like they're getting a lot out of it. You know, it's not like you're like shorting them, you're giving them all of the rewards.
Yeah.
So
well, and speaking back with the burnout, when like I said, I was doing huge high PRV and it got to the point where I was struggling. And I had the same situation you had before, Lisa, is that I did not have a very good upline. I was unable to get in contact with them. It was like I was just begging for someone to take time to kind of like, not to tell me what to do, but to more or less have that collab. Like I needed someone to be able to bounce ideas off of. I needed someone who couldn't, I mean, if they're not doing what I'm doing, it's hard for them to tell me what to do. And I had such high PRV that they had stated like I'd never gotten more than 1,200 a month in PRV, and I was doing 3,000 to 4,000. So it was hard for me to take advice about what to do, but I needed someone to collab. Like I needed someone to like, hey, do you think this is a good idea? Or what do you do for this? And when I met up with Jacqui, that helped with the burnout because I had someone else to talk to. And then the year after that, it was Robin. And then we added in Lisa. So like that helped me. And so finding that camaraderie and finding that community within Scentsy will help with the burnout. Because then you have someone to talk about, because there's times in our little chat that we have that we're having a bad day. but doesn't mean that it's going to stay bad forever. There's always something else that picks up. And it's really hard when all four of us are kind of like, I'm really kind of in the dumps because XYZ has happened this month. And it just takes,
yeah.
but we need to be able to complain about it. And we complain to each other. And then it's kind of like, okay, so this is what I'm going to do. And when one of us gets an idea, then it's like, ooh, I like that, but I'm going to, and then we change it up. And that way we're not, I don't think any of us really duplicate anything that anybody else does. We all kind of have our strong points. And so that's how we balance out of like, if I really needed some extra PRV, it'd be like, hey, what if you had to get 500 PRV today, what would you do? Now, Lisa would just be like, Lisa just amazing. She'd be like, hold on, I'm going to make one post and I'm just going to have another 1,000 PRV pop in there.
No,
but
unfortunately.
And like, there's times that it's just hard, but that struggle, every time that you think you fail and every time that you struggle through getting where you want to be, it builds, like, it gives you more resources for yourself, because every time we fail, we learn something. We learn what not to do, or how that we need to tweak it, because maybe I'm trying to do it Lisa's way and I'm not Lisa. So it's really hard for me to be like, look at Potamus, because I don't have Potamus. I have Pepper. So I can't use what Lisa does, but I can be like, oh, I'm throwing more cat pictures in because she is a part of my life. And then it's kind of like, now the AI, I love that Lisa does all the AI, and I'm like, I played around with it for a little bit. It's just not me. Like, it's not me. Lisa has made it such her, but I can be like, ooh, but maybe I don't do that, but maybe I can do some more AI. I do Chat GPT because I'm not a word person.
Chat GPT. I want to try that. I want to learn the Chat GPT thing.
I probably need, we need to do a training on it, because there is so much cool stuff that I do without calling myself out. It does assist me in other things outside of Cincy. But it's really great, because when you don't know what to say, I'm not a person of words. I can talk to somebody like on the phone or in a text message, and I'm pretty good that way, but coming up with a post that everybody loves, that's not my jam. But I'll take Lisa's post and I put it in a Chat GPT, and I have my own tone. So it knows me and how I talk, and because I have tweaked it now for the last 2 year or so. And it knows how I'm like, reword this to sound more like me. And it will. And it throws in the y'alls and the howdies and the hold your horses and stuff like that. And it makes it to where, yes, I'm copying Lisa, but I'm making my own twist.
Right.
Because I can't compare myself to Lisa.
Yeah.
And I go live all the time. Lisa can't compare herself to me.
No,
that's not her jam. Her going live on Facebook or anywhere else, that's not what you're going to see. You know how hard it was to convince her to do a camera face for podcasts?
Like, the only reason I do this at all is because Cassie will never, will never tell me. Well, I'm reading her name on here. It's Texas Cassie, so I always say Cassie. She'll never tell me no. Like, she gets up at hotels with me at like 4 a.m. And it's like, she never tells me no to anything. And I know that this is what she needs, because she needs to see our face, even though we've talked all day long. So
I gotta see your face. It's different in text message. I can't see you roll your eyes in the text message. I can't see. Well, actually, I can. Half the time I can tell just from your text message. But, it's like, I want to see and interact. And it was different before. We all didn't have these jobs. Like, we would get on. Now, Lisa never had her camera on. She would just have her she would be there and we'd be talking to her. But you can portray more on one-on-one conversations or with a group conversation than you can through text message.
Yeah.
You just want to see my cat ears? I know.
I do. I love your cat ears.
I love it.
So, but it is, but yes, the podcast thing is for me, but I do, like, I've gotten up at 2 a.m. after we went to bed at 10 to make sure that Lisa was downstairs 6 hours before her plane.
Whatever. I don't want to be late, okay? Missing a plane is like the biggest scare ever. That's why you go with me 8 hours early last time.
Yes. So, and she's okay to sit at the airport, but I got her at least down, you know, and I don't mind doing that because again, and that's how like helping this whole burnout is that we're both willing to do something that it may not be comfortable for us, but that helps me because I needed another outlet. Podcast was something that I was like, this would be really cool because all four of us work our business differently. We all have different views. And that's why this works for us because we can all, I mean, we've all done it differently. Jacqui's been in for 13 years. Robin's been in for 11. Lisa and I've been in for 4. And all 4 of us do different Happy Mail. We have different size teams. We do different recruiting. I mean, it's just, we all just have our own, I guess, our own strengths. And that helps with the burnout because when I know I need help with something and that I'm struggling, I know between the other 3, there's a way, like I can work something in from their ideas.
Yeah. And some doing things like the podcast or like, you'll see, Michelle, when you get off here, you're gonna be like, wow, I did it. And you feel so good. Like sometimes I feel like that every time we're done with a podcast.
Seriously? Okay.
Because it's something that I've stressed about all week. You know, it's something that's always in the back of my mind. And then done, you're like, I did it. And like, so sometimes that helps with a burnout is doing something with somebody else that makes you uncomfortable because it gives you like a rush of like, I can do the things, you know, instead of I'm not doing anything right. I can't do this. It's like I did it, you know? So.
And I also think it plays back into how you also portray yourself or look at yourself, because when you are in the comparison game, you will start to struggle because that means that your self-confidence is not where it needs to be, because it wouldn't matter what Susie Q and Bobby Joe are doing if you weren't worried about it. If you thought you were good enough, then it wouldn't matter what somebody else is doing because you're busy focused on here. And I think a lot of consultants, especially new consultants, when they come in, you know, they see people that are doing the tens and 20,000s of PRV every month. And I love that they show it because they show that it's possible. But other people are like, why should I even try? I can't get 1 order. How am I supposed to get 20,000?
Yeah.
And I think that's where I think that's kind of where my other part of my whole YouTube channel came through is I started doing the nitty gritty, the behind the scenes, the good and the bad days to show people that even if you're having a good month, it doesn't mean it was easy. It means that you worked extra hard or you put in more effort. Like the month that I did almost 3,000 recently, which it's been a very long time, I booked 7 parties. It was I pushed the whole month and I was so exhausted by the end of the month. The next month I almost took off because it was something I didn't do. Like going and running a marathon and then being like, I'm out of shape. I've never practiced this. I've been off too much and it was way too much for me. So as you go through burnout, it's going to happen. It's kind of doing that reality check with yourself and then taking care of yourself. If you're taking time to do the things that you want to do and the things that you love and putting Scentsy on the back burner, if that's what it means at that time, then you need to do it. And it's just like Scentsy for a lot of us, it's like the joy and the love of doing it.
Yeah.
But it is hard. And it's times that you're like, I'm doing all the things. I'm posting what everybody else is posting about. I'm doing this. And sometimes it's like, do something different. Find something else.
Pivot.
Yes. And and sometimes on a month you pivot 360 degrees. Like you keep pivoting all the way around. You're like, I can only pivot so far.
Yeah.
But every time that you post or every time you reach out to a customer or a teamie, it's basically still sprinkling those seeds and you're not gonna see it instantaneously. Like if I started right now and I posted 35 posts in one day, because Lisa posts a lot. If I was just like, oh, in one day, and then I'm like, well, I don't have the PRV that Lisa had. I did it for one day. Like, I can't do what Lisa's been doing for 4.5 years in one day and expect to have the outcome that Lisa's had in 4.5 years.
Yeah.
So on the SSDs that have been doing this for 20 years, 15.
Stopped. If we were to stop because we didn't get those results, like you're saying, right away, we wouldn't get those results at all. So you just have to keep doing it. Like you said, like if we just gave up because we didn't get what so-and-so had after doing it for one day, we will never get to where so-and-so is.
Yeah.
Ever.
And I just want to say, okay, Lisa got me this when I first joined her team. And it says, a friend is God's way of proving, hold on, sorry, I'm gonna read it backwards, proving us to walk alone. And I just love how you have people to talk with, like to collab with, to brainstorm other ideas off of each other. Like you shouldn't have to be alone. You shouldn't have to feel alone. So you have friends you can come to and talk to about, well, what are you doing in your business? And then what am I doing? And, just bounce some ideas back and forth. I think that's really, really helpful.
That's the best. Yeah. I love that part the most about this is all the people.
Yeah.
And going to events, this can kind of lead in is that when you start to feel that burnout, sometimes going to the events, so world tours coming up, SFR will be next year. It's going to those and meeting the new people and going out and peopling. And I'm very awkward. Lisa's very awkward, but there was many times that we're like, okay, we hype each other up. We're like, this is what we're going to do. And we go and talk to people because we still need that connection. Even though we have a small group, we still need to interact because it's not always just about us. It's about trying to reach other people and help them. Because the four of us, it's always been in our heart to help others because it's one thing. That's why Lisa has her group and it grew. I mean, in months, it grew substantial. And, she never thought that her being able to do this and that and helping people would grow that much, but it's something she's really good at. And so she shares it, but she doesn't, that's why she shares it. She doesn't ever expect someone to be able to do all the things because she just happens to have a way with words and pictures. And
well, if we all share a little bit of what we're good at doing, then everybody's taking a piece of the pie and we're all just grabbing a slice instead of baking the whole thing. Like it just works better if everybody shares like that.
Well, and it goes back to another one of our core things is give more than you take. Yeah. Not our core values, but kind of our the core sayings that we have is the arrows out is
don't just be for yourself, help each other.
Yeah, because there's times that when I'm struggling and I have a teamie reach out and they're just like, hey, can you help me with this? Like I get a whole new surge because I'm like, it's sad to say, but or it's not sad, but I fill my cup by helping others. Like that is what fills my cup because it gives me my purpose. And that is my purpose. Like it's one of those things that I've done with like the human design is that I'm one that can break things down to where people can understand why things are, why this works this way. Or I can look at the overall of being like, hey, point A to B normally is a straight line. Since you decided to take your own and you're over in the mountains, we got to figure out how to get you down off the mountain and back into the green valley. And it's, and it's rocky up there, but there's a way down. And sometimes we can't see the way out. Like we just can't see because we're stuck behind a boulder or we're stuck behind some trees.
Perspective.
Yeah. And so it's when I can share that or help somebody, it makes my entire day because I feel for me, I felt like I've accomplished something because I've helped someone see something.
Yeah.
And so sometimes with the burnout, it's not about doing for yourself. Sometimes you have to help other people may help you get out of that burnout as well, because maybe you are more of a service person and not just, and it's hard when we get so self-centered about like, I want this and I need this. And why aren't you buying what I tell you to buy? It's hard.
That's when you start feeling bad. That's when you start feeling bad about things. When you're so focused on what is this giving me? What is this bringing me? What am I going to get from this? Like, that's why I always tell my team, reach out. I don't care what time you have a question. If you message me at midnight, I'm not going to hear it if I'm asleep. And when I get up to go pee in the middle of the night, I'm probably going to answer it because that's just what I do. Like having people there to help is, like you said, a whole new rush. It just makes you feel better. So like sometimes when you're struggling or when you're burnt out, stop for a minute with what you're trying to do and go into the consultant groups and just answer questions of people. Like go help someone that's asking, you know, for help with this or what is this or something they could find on Workstation but didn't. Do something like that where you're able to give back a little bit. And sometimes that's just all you needed was a little break from yourself.
Yeah.
And happy again.
And also take care of yourself as well. I think that's very
Oh, self-care. I'll tell you what, ever since I became an empty nester, self-care has been like a #1 priority for me because I don't have anybody, I don't have anybody asking mama this, mama that, mama this. I'm actually taking care of my face. Like I've never had a face regimen, and I do every time, you know, I wash my face and I put my moisturizer on, but it helps me feel better now because when I know I've accomplished something, even if it's not Scentsy, like it's just the small thing. Like, you know, I finally have all my clothes off of the couch. Like that's been a big thing for me because I let so much of my personal life and everything else get so pushed back because I'm so focused on Scentsy all the time.
Yeah.
And it's finding that balance. I mean, I would love to say you could go 100,000 miles an hour of just Scentsy and you're going to be successful. But when you go that far and you never refill with gas, you never stop to smell the roses or see what you've done, you've missed everything because it's a blur now.
And you know what? Buy yourself a cat.
Yes. You go get yourself a little cat. Cats make everything better.
Yeah, they do.
Could you imagine how many cats you would have every time you felt burnt out? How many cats you would buy?
Okay, so I've been trying to convince my husband for me to foster cats, and he was like, no. Because I was like, I said, I'm just fostering them and taking care of them until they can have their owner. And he said, no.
I need to talk to him. That's it.
I'm having cat fever. I want another cat.
I do too.
You do?
Yeah, I do. But Potamus wouldn't like it. And he's 10. So I don't want to bring somebody else into his
It'll take him a week to get adjusted. You'll be fine.
Oh, he's a jerk. I'm kind of scared to be mean to it or kill it while I was gone or something. No. I don't know.
But Lucas is home all day.
He's a jerk. I know, but still, he sleeps. He's nocturnal. My kid is nocturnal.
Well, he watches the cats at night, and then you can just separate them, leave Potamus in Lucas's room, or leave the baby in Lucas's room, and let Potamus just run around the house, and that way the cat can sleep. You know,
and so bad.
Like we could easily figure this out for you. We
might have
to at a lot of cat TikTok stuff. And what color of a cat do I want? Do I want the tortoiseshell or a black cat or another Oreo?
You need a second Oreo. Let me turn on my AC. Hold on one sec. Or you guys don't have to hold on, but I'll be right back.
Yes, we won't get on that subject of why you have to go turn the AC on.
That's funny.
But yeah, so with burnouts, I mean, I love that you brought this topic tonight because at some point, every consultant is going to hit a burnout where they're just stuck up against the wall. They found, they just don't know. I mean, when you're so focused here, you can't see that there's an alternative this way or that way. And it's...
yeah. Sorry, what were you saying?
No, go ahead.
I feel like it's not really talked about as much. So I'm glad we're talking about this. Because I know there are probably a lot of consultants struggling out there, and they could be burnt out right now, and they probably don't.
Like people, I have a delay again. Hold on, let me switch my Wi-Fi. Every time, like I will not, like your boxes light up green, right? When you're talking. Well, your box isn't green, and then I start to talk, and your box turns green, and then I see you talking. Like I don't know what it does back here. But yes, the burnout whole, like there's no reason.
Yeah.
What was that? Not what you were saying?
Yeah, I'm just
at you. We're listening to you.
At me. Okay. It's so easy to look at other people also and think, oh, it's so easy for her. I hate that for one. Or, oh, she's so lucky. No, that's called work. That's called effort. That's called consistency. That's sticking to it. So don't compare what you're doing to what somebody has been doing for 10 years, because maybe it is easier for them now, but they probably felt the same way. Like, that's why I wish that consultants could realize the people they're watching, the people that people want to watch, are obviously going to be in the top, right? Well, the consultants who want to watch them are trying to get to the top, but they're trying to do all the things that the people up here are doing. And like I said earlier, that's not what those people did when they were still starting out. Like, find what you can do, find what makes you happy above all else. Like, if you don't enjoy this, if you're not having fun doing this, then you're doing it wrong, because it should be fun. And if it's not, find something you like doing and do that for a little while.
Yeah. And see, like, going back to Happy Mail, like, on the envelopes, I print off the address labels. I put them in Avery, I print them off and put them on there, because I don't get joy out of writing all of these over and over and over. Yeah. But there's a lot of different consultants that love doing it. Like, Amber Dixon was one that I'm like, why are you writing them all out? And she's like, she has really great, cursive handwriting. It looks really gorgeous. For me, my hand starts to cramp, and then at the end, it's like chicken scratch, and it hurts.
I have to take.
So but for me, it was like, okay, I still want to send out Happy Mail, so I found another way. And just I do full, for anything that I print, I do full sheets. If I'm doing stickers, I do a full one sheet. I don't get the cutouts that are the different sizes. That way I can cut it how I want. And I don't have to find the right template for this or right template for that, because I don't want 15 different packages of circles, squares, rectangles, ovals. Because someone said to do oval, someone showed to do square, someone said to do rectangle. I can print it on the full sheet of basically is a shipping label. It's a full sheet of shipping label, and then I can cut around it. I can make cool designs, or I can just take my paper cutter and I can just do straight lines that way. And that's also why I started doing my own marketing, because I didn't want to pay to have it done someone else's way, or, pay for anything else. So I just do it all in Canva. And,
I love that you the writing. Like, sometimes it's the little joys like that. Like how you said, Amber does it because she enjoys writing. Well, most people are just going to look at it and be like, I'm going to do whatever the last video I watched was, whether they print or type, whatever. If you enjoy designing a label, then design your own labels. If you enjoy handwriting, handwrite your own labels. Like, it's finding those little things of joy that you look forward to doing when you're doing your things, or when you're doing all the things.
And do your own thing. You don't need to copy whoever Susie Q freaking Sharon doing. Like, do what you want to do, or do what works for you.
Well, I think the other thing is that some of us forget that some of us have other jobs that we're doing. Yeah. I mean, Lisa works a job. I go to school full time. So I'm doing 16 hours in college. Lisa's Lisa works outside the house. So when she comes home, then she does her Scentsy. I mean, well, she always takes her pictures, but see, that's what she's good at. So when she gets to the shop, she's taking pictures of her changing out her wax, because she does it on a daily basis. So she has pictures every day, which is something consistent that somebody can do. But if I was at home full time again, I could do all the extra things that I did before when I was doing this full time. And that's the other comparison, is that sometimes, I'm going back to school because I have other goals in my life that I want to accomplish, but I love Scentsy. I will never drop Scentsy, because that does bring me joy. And even though some of the mundane stuff doesn't, I still know what I need to do. But I've stopped some of the ones that, if you have a complete dread of one task that you do all the time, and it, like, every time you think about it, you're like, you almost get like that sick to your stomach. That's when you need to be like, let me figure out how else to do this. Let me just search mail outs and then see who has done something different. Robin's posted many times about she does it on a dime. Like, she does it very cheap mail outs that are always cute. She creates her own little postcards to mail out. Postcard stamps are cheaper than regular envelope stamps. If you're not sending anything else with it, you don't need to have the butterfly or / the 2-ounce stamps. So there are ways to downgrade it and then upgrade it. If if you're getting more comfortable with it, then you can do more.
Add a little something. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's like everybody starts to think that they can run, 4 marathons at once, and they forget that they've never stretched or they've never even done breathing. And we get burnt out because we're trying to attempt to run 100 miles today when we haven't even gotten running shoes. We're over here in our flip flops or barefoot or in our house shoes trying to keep up with everybody. So it's hard. I think that it really it's a struggle for everybody because we all get to that point at some time.
And this is where that self-growth comes in, is that we learn what we can do and what we can't do, what we're capable of, what is too much, what is too little. Like, this is where, instead of like getting frustrated with yourself, think of it as a learning experience. Like, you're teaching yourself what your boundaries are.
Yeah.
And that's still a valuable lesson, and I know people, when they go through struggle months, they are often so quick to just throw in the towel. And I know that I've always told myself that that I was going to look forward to a struggle. I was going to look forward to going into the director queue. I haven't yet, but if that happens, I want to try and look forward to the negative things like that, because you're going to learn so much in them. And most people's stories, the ones that we listen to and are inspired by, are not somebody who joined and it was just perfect from then on out. Those aren't the stories. So sometimes those bad things that we're looking at and we're like, oh, I should just quit. No, sometimes that's like your chance to have a comeback story or have some sort of a story that you can share with others later on. So it doesn't have to be negative.
Yeah. And our journey, because like mine, I hit director in 4 months. I had a team. I did it with a team of 6. Like it was fast. We were all doing over 1,000 to 2,000, all of us, because we were all in that point during 2020 that we all had time. Either we were working from home or some of them lost their jobs like I did. And this was all that we had. Is that sustainable? No, nowhere close. So I lost my director title 3 times. And I can tell you by the 3rd time, it was no big deal. It did not devastate me. That first time, I was like, what did I do wrong? I've been watching everybody. I'm doing all this stuff. I'm doing what they are doing. But I never learned how to work my business because I came in on such a high point that I hitched a ride up here. And then everybody else keeps going. But I'm like, I'm stuck because I don't know what to do next. And so
because it wasn't, like you said earlier, it wasn't gradual. Like, we can't do what, somebody who's been an SSD for 10 years does, because we haven't worked the steps. Now you're working the steps.
Yep. And so it's learning, it's breaking down, like, when you go back to our cores of what our business is built around, it is hosting, it is joining, or it is buying. Those are the 3 main points. And from there, you learn to build your business. And if you notice that there is not one single SSD that does all 3 of those, amazing. They're either a great recruiter, they either get really high PRV, or they party the crap out of their month. But you rarely see anybody talk in one video about how they're hitting high PRV. They have like 19 parties in the month and they've recruited 40 some odd people. You never see that because we can't be.
You don't see all of it. You don't need to do all 3 perfectly.
No, you need to find your strength. So if you're one that can recruit, then you don't have to have high PRV. You just have to have at least the 500 for leadership. And so, and for me, I'm like, I don't think I've ever had a month that I've had less than 500. Like the lowest month I ever had was like 790. But when I talk about that to others who are really big at recruiting, they're like, I struggle to hit 1,000. They're like, that's like my stretch month is 1,000. I hit 500 every month, but it's like, that's their struggle. And then you have the other ones that are like, yeah, every time I book a party, I have 5 more that come up and I'm struggling. She's like, I haven't even talked to my team because I'm over here, I haven't recruited, or I'm not, like, the PRV is high only because of these parties.
Mhm.
Like it's kind of an aftermath, but it wasn't like their PRV is sitting at 20,000 or 70,000 or whatever.
I have like 2 parties a year, literally. Like
Wow.
parties are my thing. I have 2 home parties. Well, sometimes a little bit more, but it's for the same family. And that's it. Like that's it. No one ever wants to do a party. I don't ask. But I mean, if somebody asks, I'll do one. But like, yeah, like you think everyone's just doing all the things and they're not. Like I have 0 I have personal shopping links, but I have no party.
Yeah.
And see, I do a lot of shopping links, but I also do events.
Mhm.
And this season now I'm not like an event person where I have it every weekend. Like last week we had Sarah and she does events. She books her calendars for events and she
Mhm.
gets recruits that way. And so some events are really great and some events are not. But
Mhm.
that's also where the focus. So if you like doing events in the one-on-one,
Mhm.
you don't have to take a lot of stock. Because I'll tell you what, I had the fear of buying more. Well, I bought all this stuff to do an event and the event got canceled. And I'm like, I'm sitting here with all this extra inventory. What do
Mhm.
I do? And I love that there was something posted that talked about how Cincy has kind of changed some of their policies that we can do an event that as long as we have a start date and an end date, we can do basically an at-home virtual cash and carry. Because that allows me to not have to say, I don't have parking at my house. There is no way I can have more than 2 extra cars here at any time because our
Okay.
street doesn't
Know that.
have,
We can do that. I didn't know that.
you need to check the Bliss group.
Like an open house or something.
So
Don't call
instead
me
of doing, so it's basically a virtual open house. You have to have a begin date. And so you can say it's for 48 hours or it's for 72 hours or it's for, for 24. You have to have a start and an end date. The interactions, you can't say what you have. Like you can't be showing pictures of like, I had this warmer and I had this
Yeah.
wax. You can say, I'm doing a cash and carry. I'm doing a virtual party. I'm doing an inventory clean out. You just can't specifically say names or prices of what you have.
So
And
then
then
them. I'm confused. Like you're able to advertise that you're inviting people to that. Is that what you're saying?
yes.
And
And so you can either do it as like, you can either contact, they can comment on there and then you can reach out to them one-on-one and be like, this is what I have. You can't
oh,
like, it is, you just have to have like pricing and stuff as a one-on-one conversation. And you can
okay.
also do a Facebook Messenger party because Facebook Messenger
Yeah.
is still one-on-one, even with multiple people in there, because they stated that it is not a public. They have to be invited to it and they have to accept into the conversations and they can get out. So that way
Yeah.
it's considered a one-on-one. But Tracy posted a really great um, explanation in the Bliss group that I happened to read. Now I did it out of like off the blue for Saturday and Sunday. It did not, I didn't do anything. But again,
Go live for 24 hours showing stuff, or say like for the next 24 hours we're able to do this as long as we posted that it was start and end date. I knew we could do the other, but I thought you meant like full
no,
on.
you can't do it publicly. Like you can't do,
Okay.
so now you could do a Zoom, like you could easily do like, hey, I'm doing a party and then do it in Zoom. But it's
Yeah.
honestly going to be better because for me, I always write down like what warmers I have, what stuff I have. And because I end up with extra stuff. Because honestly, if I get a whiff box and nobody wants one that's local, because I get one every month so I can show it off,
Yeah.
then I break everything out of it. I don't keep
Yeah.
it in the box because next month there's going to be a new box. So I get rid of that box and I have now 4 products or 3 products or whatever, and it starts to stack up. And so I'm going to do it again after I get back from director boot camp. I'm hoping that I can push it back because I'm going to go live about it. But I did it on the spur of the moment just to see if I had any bites.
Mm-hmm.
And at least I still have my list. And
I don't have anything to sell, but it's still neat that you can do that. Like none of mine's for sale.
well, but you don't have extra, like you don't have extra stock.
No.
I have, I have stuff that I got. Some of
Yeah.
it's new, some of it's old. Warmers of the month I have that I don't have room for or that really don't go with my theme, like in my house. And they're really cute. And I mean, what else do you do with them? I'm not going to give them away.
Yeah.
I still paid for them. So But that's just the pivot. That's where it goes down, is that if you have too much inventory, you know, and it's overwhelming, then figure out a way to get rid of it, either an event or doing something like the virtual live, or, you know, the Zoom parties. I've done Zoom parties. But
a pop-up shop somewhere. Ask somebody that has a parking lot that isn't a retail parking lot.
And if it's a retail parking lot, then you can just take orders.
Yeah, you can take orders. And then if you actually have some of that stuff on hand that they're wanting, I mean, you could bring a literal book of pictures of what you do have, show them that, they order it, and then after you're done, you go deliver it to them. Like, you're still not doing the cash and carry right there. It's still ordered.
Yeah. Yeah. So as we finish up this hour, Michelle, do you have any other suggestions or anything else that you want to kind of tell anybody about burnout, or suggestions, anything?
Stop overthinking, stop getting in your own head, go back to the basics, do what works for you, and keep it simple. That's all I got.
There you go.
This video, next time you're burnt out, I'm going to be like, look at Michelle, I'm going to send you what you told yourself.
All right, Lisa, do you have any other tidbits you want to add in there for our burnout month?
Just again, stop comparing yourself to the people that you are watching. Stop trying to do what the people you are watching do, because you are not at the level of the people you are watching. And when they were at your level, they didn't do those things either. So just remember that. Like, that's super important. It's great that they share them. It's great ideas, but remember to pick and choose what pieces of it work for you, your business, and where you are at. And that's it. And get a cat. Get a cat. Get a cat.
Cats make everything better. Yeah. And my last tidbit, it's already been said, but keeping it simple, going back to the basics. There's no reason to do all the things. Pick one thing. Honestly, your burnout, if it means you're doing too many, just pick one thing, find what you're good at, and make it to where it's just second nature. Mm-hmm. So let's just do roll call real quick. If you guys just want to say your name as we close out tonight.
Lisa WaxyCat.
Michelle Secrist.
And I am Cassie Bollinger. Thank you guys for showing up to Who Knows Best. This is just a podcast where we get Scentsy consultants together. We talk about our business and we show the different aspects of each things that we can highlight. Tonight was about burnout. It is, just talking about the effects of how everything goes on, about trying to do all the things and trying to keep up with the Joneses. So don't keep up with the Joneses. Keep up with yourself. Learn self-love or self-care. If you haven't heard it today, I love you. We love you. You can do this business. You are worthy. You are strong. You are important. And this business can be worked as long as you take the time to learn the small steps and quit trying to do the marathon in one day. Make sure that you like, share, and comment on where you're seeing this podcast at. We love to hear your responses, your comments. Make sure that you share. This is going to be posted anywhere that the podcasts are shown. We all have different accounts, so it's going to be somewhere. But guys, we do love to hear about it. If you have a certain topic or you have questions about tonight, please feel free to comment down below and we will get back to you as soon as we can. You can reach any of us on social media. If you have questions on how to reach out to one of us, let us know. That's what we got, and we will see you guys next week.